Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you a short clip about the Rudrakshi jackfruits, which are very smaller in size, around 1.5 and 2 kgs and sometimes max 3 kg size fruits. And what I have a sample is the red Rudrakshi. And the speciality of these varieties are it's a very consumer friendly jackfruits because the size is small, on an average 1.5 to 2 and max 3 kgs. And size being small, it's very convenient for small families to buy, as well as the cut even by the women in the families and even by kids. And since size is small and the number of bulbs is around 40 to 50 plus bulbs one can see, and I myself have counted 80 plus bulbs in around such 3 kg Rudrakshi red jackfruits. And even the size of the fruit is small, but the thickness of the bulbs is quite good enough, and it's very tasty enough. And in terms of bricks, it could be around 28 plus. That is what is coming out from the assessments. And even in such western Ghats, heavy rainfall zone is coming at 28 plus, means in other normal dry zones like Tamil Nadu dry belts and even the other states which are very prone to high temperature dry areas, one can easily expect plus 2 bricks. That means around 30 bricks one can easily expect in such Rudrakshi varieties. And the one another most important quality of these Rudrakshi fruits are because these varieties are grown in western Ghats, which are prone to the harshest of the harshest rainy conditions, wherein one could see continuous rains for around 10 to 15 days. Even in such a rainy season, it doesn't deteriorate its quality in terms of sweetness, because traditionally jackfruits are known to lose its sweetness and color of the bulbs when it gets exposed to such harsh rains. That is why the jackfruits, whatever we buy or get harvest in summer, heavy summer, will be of very good taste, whereas the same in the late rainy seasons, right? It loses its sweetness. So this being the normal quality, this Rudrakshi stands out as the best of the best, as it does not lose its quality and retains its sweetness and color even in such harshest rainy conditions, right? And one another beautiful character is these varieties cluster bearing type, means in every bunch you could see around 5 to 6 or 8 or sometimes could be 10 fruits also in a cluster. And it is a staggered harvesting, means if you see such in a tree around 50 or 60 such clusters, the first fruit gets matured before others in the succession, and once that gets harvested, then maybe about after 10 days, a month, or 2 weeks later, you can harvest the second fruit. And likewise, the entire bunch for the last fruit to be harvested, right, it takes around 5 to 6 months timeline from the very first harvest. So I myself have seen this mother tree in Shimoga, and in that during February I have tasted fruit, both yellow and Rudra red, and whereas right now we are in July end, and even March, April, and June also I have tasted the similar fruits of the same mother tree. And even now we see such still smaller fruits. That means I am very confident that at least another 20 days to a month we could expect some more fruits. That means for a farmer having such staggered harvesting is very good, because even he could harvest batch by batch and send it to direct consumers without being dependent upon the intermediaries, right? And instead of harvesting everything at a bulk and very much dependent on the intermediaries and selling at a very lesser exploitative price, one can go for such small sized, very consumer friendly fruits and bring out such varieties to be in the market. And the main drawback of today's jackfruit is the size. The size being 10 kg, 15 kgs, 20, 25 kgs, right? The end consumer doesn't prefer to buy such heavy fruits. The main reason is the weight. Being heavy, it's difficult to carry, and most of the fruits are wild in nature. Wild means every tree is different in terms of the qualities, in terms of the bulb color, sweetness, in terms of the filling and skin thickness, the wastage and everything. And being heavy during post harvest, there is very much prone to have post harvest damages. The laborers could drop the fruit, and we may not notice, even the intermediaries, we may not notice the damage. But once it comes to the end consumers after 2 3 days, then we start noticing it. Even while buying it, we may not see it unless we closely observe it, right? So after 2 3 days, or it starts deteriorating instead of initiating the ripening. Because of the same reason, most of the end consumers doesn't prefer to buy the old jackfruit. And that's being the case, such jackfruits comes to the only option of selling by the last leg persons in the as street vendors, right? They do some minimal processing by as cut fruits and sell the bulbs, right? And most of us even don't prefer to buy from street vendors. The reason is people believe it may not be hygienic enough, right? So the main drawback, these are the main drawbacks of jackfruits, and this being the case, uh, choosing such very consumer friendly fruits of 1.5 kg to 2 kg on average size is very good, and there is a lot of commercial scope. To visualize the size of this 3 kg fruit, I have one more 1.5 kg yellow Rudrakshis, which we can see to visualize the size of the red one, 3 kg, right? And in that cluster of around 7 to 8 fruits, if a consumer wants uniform sizing, then I could follow the practice of thinning. Instead of 7 to 8, if maybe you could leave 2 to 3 or 4, then you can all 4 fruits will be of uniform size. If you still wants bigger size fruits, then you need to do some more thinning, wherein 2 or 3 fruits in a bunch, wherein you could easily expect 3 kg size. If it doesn't do any thinning, then probably out of 8 fruits, one fruit could be around 2.5 kg or 3, and other could be 1.5, 2, and the last few fruits could be of very small size, and that may not be of any commercial value, right? and uh, and these red Rudrakshi is one another unique character is we don't see any other varieties in the entire world. Only one mother tree has been traced in the entire world, and that's being in Karnataka and Western Ghats in Shimoga. And jackfruit enthusiasts have for a quite long time they started tracing out such beautiful varieties, and started propagation and analyzing the quality of the trees. And it's the right time we should join hands together and bring out such consumer friendly jackfruits of 1.5 kg to 2 kg size to large scale commercial cultivation among farmers. And generally, right, these varieties being since it comes from Western Ghats, so wild zones, and it is generally the any hilly areas it is as it in higher altitude, whereas there are temperature and pressure differences that could affect the yielding character, the bearing character of the trees. So I have heard the same in even in Javadi Hills, the same quality I am hearing in Western Ghats as well, because the same tree, if it is cultivated in a dry zone, a normal belt, the lower lands, right, the one could expect fruiting in around 4 to 5 years. But the same tree once cultivated in an higher altitude hilly areas, probably you could expect another 1 or 2 years or maybe 3 years also. It could take to yield. That's because of the higher altitude region, right? So, and if you see closely observe, right, in these fruits, the number of thorns are very less. Means in a traditional jackfruit we could see around maybe 3,000 or 4,000. I don't know, maybe more also, more number of thorns. But in these Rudrakshis, it's very less, maybe 200 or 100 to 200 thorns. And whichever thorns gets pollinated, there will be a bulb in that. Whichever doesn't, there may not be any bulb. And the if you see closely observe, right, each and every thorn there is that it gets flattened out once it matures. You see it. right? And again, so this is an indication of the maturity, and if you still allow it to further mature, it could turns out to this maybe blackish or brownish one, and even these you see, so these the thorns gets further flattened out. So that's an sign of maturity. So if you want 100% matured fruit, then you should allow all the thorns to get flattened out, and the color also to turn a little bit brownish enough. And most important quality is the thickness of the skin is rind is very less, probably 3 mm, maybe 4 mm, okay, not more than that. And even the center core is very less. So that means the recovery ratio is very good in this variety. If a consumer buys around 1.5 kg size fruit, then the what he gets in return as an edible portion is very good, right? You don't see such quality in any other jackfruits, okay, right? Because generally wild jackfruits, whatever coming in the market, I see around only 20% is the recovery ratio of such fruits. Whereas now jackfruit enthusiasts, researchers and institutions are trying to identify the varieties which could have 40 to 60% or 60% more recovery ratio. That means excluding the skin, rind, and any other wastages. What is the edible portion which is coming out of such large size fruit, right? And and we should work together in taking these beautiful varieties to large scale commercial cultivation among farmers, and till uh, till we get minimal processing industries and value addition industries wherein they could depend on the large size fruits for 10 kg or 5, 15 kg, 25 kgs, because for them we need uniform quality, uniform quality fruits, and then labeling, processing, or making it any value added product. It's easier if we get more number of bulbs from a particular fruit. So for such industries, we need such higher sized, large sized fruits of 10, 15 kgs. But for consumer friendly fruits, we need such 1.5 kg to 2 kg fruits only, without any manual intervention or any other minimal processing. You could easily cultivate such fruits and then harvest them without much dependency, because size is very small, and the possibility of post harvest damage is very less, right? And even you can display it in the showrooms or supermarkets, or even without depending upon the intermediaries, you can directly give it to end consumers. And that too being staggered harvesting, you don't need to harvest the entire fruit at one point of time, okay? You harvest whichever is matured one, and depending upon your consumers nearby, the farmer can straight away sell it to them without depending upon the middlemen, and thus getting the major profit to them. Or he can even reduce the price by reducing the margin and pass it on to the consumers, right? And I have posted the mother tree videos in whatever Kalanjam. You can refer the previous videos, and you could visualize the color of the immature fruits, the greenish color, that's the immature one, and the fully matured one will be like this brownish enough. And in yellow class, as per my knowledge, I have seen two best varieties as of now. One of them will be of around 1.5 kg of fruit. You could see around 40 plus bulbs, and another variety is probably could the number of bulbs is less but thickness is more, right? Even in these 40 plus bulbs, the bulb thickness is quite good enough. It's very good for small families, around 2 to 3 or 4 member families. It's very good. One can cut and easily consume it off, and there won't be any wastage or necessity to keep it in fridge or give it to neighbors and throwing it out. Or such scenarios won't be there at all in such consumer friendly Rudrakshis, right? And in Kerala also I've heard a few varieties called Tamra Chakka, but I haven't got any characteristics to assess as of now. And even I'm not sure whether that is also the same as Rudrakshi is of Karnataka. So in the original mother tree of such this Rudrakshi is around 90 feet. I heard it is around 80 to 90 feet tall, and it's yielding around 500 plus fruits in a year. right? And imagine such a heavy bearing potential these plantations has, right? And if the tree is well maintained and well taken care, definitely since size of the fruits being small, we could expect these fruits to come not only in the main trunk, also in the primary branch and secondary branch and terminal branches as well. Because in general, jackfruits, right, the size being heavy, 10 15 kgs, the fruiting will be observed only in the main trunk. Maybe around 5 kg, 10 kg fruits, you could see it in trunk as well as in the primary branch. And whereas the fruits of 2.5 kg, 3 kg fruits, right, you could observe the fruits in the next level secondary branches as well. And these Rudrakshis being still smaller enough, 1.5 kgs, you could see even the main trunk, primary branch, secondary branch, as well as in the terminal branches. That means four stages of branches you can observe the fruits. That's a very beautiful character of these Rudrakshi varieties. And right, so the more the canopy, you can expect large number of fruits as well. And if you have any other doubts or any additional information which you need, just drop it out in the comment. You could also reach out to me in my phone number at 809 509 7447. Thank you.